Call the meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone out to the April the 7th, 2025 meeting of the Caswell County Board of Commissioners. If you would, join me in a moment of silent prayer followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Amen. United States of America, to the republic which stands one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Public comments.
Mr. Chair, we have one person signed up, Diane, and I'm not sure I can read her last name, Allison Grove Road. Is that you?
If you would come forward to the podium.
Speaking.
Did you need to sign up for public comment? No.
We're good.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Recognitions, Commissioner Smith.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to recognize Thomas Bernard and the entire tax department for the outstanding service they provide the county. Thomas's department is among the highest collection rates in the state of North Carolina. He should be commended.
Mr. Rose.
I have nothing.
Mr. Ingram.
Nothing.
Mr. McVeigh. Right. Now we come to a very important part of our meeting, swearing in of Brian Todd. Pastor.
That I will support and maintain the Constitution and laws of the United States and the Constitution and laws of North Carolina, not inconsistent therewith. And I will faithfully discharge the duties of my office as Commissioner of Caswell County.
Welcome, Mr. Totten, and just for the public's knowledge, Mr. Totten has been with us for the last two meetings, one, and both were concerning hiring a new county manager. This was a formal swearing in. Mr. Totten was actually sworn in on the 25th day of March. A little different than what we had planned at our last meeting, but everybody that was on the board, I want sworn in and everybody be present. Okay. On the agenda, if you would add, if the board doesn't, if I can find my agenda. Here we go. If you would add item number 11, approval of an outside firm for legal representation for the county. If there's not any objections, I'd like to add that as our last item of business tonight during open session. Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Smith.
Second.
Second from Mr. Rose. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. The opioid settlement. That's-
I will turn this over to Deputy County Administrator Melissa Williamson, who has shepherded this process from the beginning until now.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm here today on behalf of the Opioid Committee, which is made up of a diverse group of individuals to present the strategies for the fiscal year 2026. While I am the spokesperson, I want to emphasize that the ideas and proposals I will be sharing are the results of collective collaboration from the committee. Before we begin the slideshow presentation, I want to remind the board that these funds must be used specifically to support individuals with opioid use disorder. We are operating in full compliance with the Exhibit A of the North Carolina Memorandum of Agreement, which outlines the proper use of these funds. As of today, we have collected $607,844.53 year to date. It's important to note that we will continue to receive these funds over the next 18 years. One of the key points to keep in mind is that these strategies are intended to be funded for 1 year with the flexibility to evaluate their effectiveness at the end of the year. If the committee or the Board of Commissioners feels that a strategy is not yielding the desired outcomes, we are not obligated to fund it for the following fiscal year. The Opioid Committee will continuously monitor these strategies, making adjustments as necessary to ensure the greatest impact and success. With that, I now would like to proceed with the opioid slideshow. More than 36,000 North Carolinians lost their lives to drug overdose between 2000 and 2022. Trends in Castle County from 2016 to 2021, 26 people died of causes recorded as an opioid overdose. 59 emergency room visits reported as opioid overdose related. Many more people, families, and communities are impacted in health, job, and housing stability and social networks. Next slide. Opioid settlements. North Carolina will receive over $1.4 billion between 2022 and 2038. 85% to counties and a few cities. 15% to the state for programs and fund management. A little over $2 million to Castle County over this timeline. This slide right here just shows the payments between now, 2022 through 2038. And as you can see, over time, the payments will reduce in the amount received, but it's a spending plan of the breakdown of the payments that will come in. Next slide. Settlement fund uses. Funds must be used in line with options provided in the Memorandum of Agreement. Options intended to serve people with an opioid use disorder in these general ways: community planning, medication treatment and harm reduction, quality of life support and improvement, interventions for minors, support for individuals and the justice system. Recommended strategies. The Castle County Opioid Advisory Committee has been reviewing the state of the overdose epidemic, recommending five strategies for approval, funded from July 2024 through June 2026, the Medications for Opioid Use Disorder Program at the jail. This will be included in FY26 since the board approved it for 2 years. Other 4 strategies that we are looking to have funded for 1 year or 2 year periods, depending on the board's approval. And the next slide just shows the MOUD in jails, and this is the one that we're currently are operating with. It's under Exhibit A, Strategy 11. It's offered through Castle County Sheriff's Department. provide new offerings for incarcerated people in the line with the ADA requirements, and to avoid potential lawsuits. The MOUD for people receiving treatment prior to arrest and testing treatment for others with an OUD. Expand nurse coverage to include Saturday and Sunday to administer medication and fulfill other needs. The board approved in FY '25 for over 2 years to $164,637. And the Sheriff's Department, I received a report from them last week, have currently spent $36,010.34. So basically for last year, they would have received $82,318.50. And we still plan to have another $82,318.50 for FY '26 to make the total of $164,637. And the next slide just shows this was the resolution that the board signed for the opioid settlement funds. And that was specifically just for the MOUD with the treatment for incarcerated persons. The next is the reentry program, Exhibit A, Strategy 12. This is intended to connect individuals to treatment following the release from jails, support and navigating benefit applications through Starting Point Rural Harm Reduction Coalition, funding for continued treatment through individual providers, recommending $20,935 for medication support and $5,000 for SPR-HRC. And this really kind of goes hand in hand with your MOUD that you all have approved that's in the jail, because it's almost like we're providing them the treatment while they're in jail. Then when they're released, we're just letting them out with no additional treatment. And if anybody knows anyone that's had a drug addiction problem, that's not a quick fix. It's ongoing treatment that you need. So to me, this kind of goes hand in hand. So when they do get out, they would be able to hopefully continue to their support and be able to maintain out of the using drugs and being a visitor back to the jail again as well. So to me, those kind of go hand in hand. If you have one, you really, to me, should have this one to go with it. The next slide is the syringe service program. That's Exhibit A, Strategy 9. Through the Solid Waste Department, you would build and maintain a safe, sharp disposal boxes at disposal sites. And through SPR-HRC, they would provide the connections to care and education and offer Narcan, harm reduction supplies, and education to individuals who use drugs and their loved ones. Many times people forget that, you know, if you have someone, a loved one that's with you that suffers from this addiction, they may be the ones that actually need this kit that they offer and provide that would have the Narcan and the other things that you may need to help someone that is having an episode. Because, you know, we're a rural county and sometimes it takes a minute. We're very fortunate to have the volunteer fire department that we have in our county who respond quickly, but it's really important because sometimes with our EMS being out of the county on calls and things, that time is of the essence. So it's good if even those loved ones, even if it's not the individual that's using, were to have these kits and to have this Narcan to help these individuals. So we're recommending $42,428 for solid waste for the construction and upkeep, and $15,000 for SPR-HRC for services and operating costs. And these are two that go hand in hand together, because if you're going to have, or you're giving out these kits that will have clean needles in it. I know some people get in the mindset of thinking that we're just providing things for people to be able to continue to use drugs, but it does help reduce on the health risks that these individuals may encounter if they have clean needles that are provided along with many other things in this kit. But you've got to have somewhere to dispose of needles. So they go hand in hand. If you fund one, you have to fund both, because we have to have somewhere to dispose of the needles. And another thing that AJ did bring up, our solid waste director, is that this may even help with, with needles being tossed into the landfill, even like insulin needles. Because if we have this box up there, I mean, we don't, identify what the use of the needles for. So if we end up having, that helps out with the insulin needles, that's great. I know a lot of our county residents are great about putting them in milk jugs and different things like that. So they're not such a hazard when they throw them away, but this would also be another source to help with those. And there are a lot of needles that go through the landfill. And also the boards that would be up that would go along with where we're disposing of the needles. There's a board that would be up with resources for opioid addiction help and where you can get help and those sorts of things. So we plan to hopefully have 4 fixed at 4 different sites and have one that's a mobile that we could use at like different events to have information present, and probably would be kept more here in the county, in the town area. So on the next slide, you can see counties covered by syringe service programs. You can see that the blue area are counties that are currently have an SSP. We do not have one. So this would allow us to actually have a SSP program here in the county. And you can see across the state of North Carolina, many counties are participating in this program. The next item is early intervention, Exhibit A, Strategy 6. This program would be offered through Piedmont Community College. It identifies and provides services to children, adolescents who may be experiencing the OUD or mental health issues in Caswell County schools and beyond. And it will provide trainings to others, trusted adults to support these children and adolescents. And they are recommending $70,000 to fund a part-time position and other training and resources that would be needed. So they're trying to reach them at an earlier age because if you grow up in a home with addiction, you better believe those kids are suffering from that. And they need all the support that they can get so they don't travel down the same road. The last strategy that we have is the collaborative strategic planning, Exhibit A, Strategy 1. It's intended to support community engagement efforts to provide like refreshment, space rentals, and other engagement tools. And we were recommending $6,000 to be used at the discretion of county administration. And then the next slide just kind of goes over the opioid recommendation summary. So the reentry program is Strategy 12. The funding is $25,935. And that would be, the purpose is to support continued access to MOUD and safety materials for individuals post-incarceration, and $5,000 for Starting Point Rural Harm Reduction Coalition to connect individuals to treatment and resources, and remainder for medication and support individuals after release. The syringe service program, strategy number 2, and that's number 9, funding $57,428, and the purpose is $42,428 for syringe disposal site, $15,000 for the SPRHRC to provide Narcan first aid, harm reduction, education, and treatment connections. The next one is early intervention, which is strategy 6, is funding $70,000, and the purpose is Piedmont Community College will fund a position to identify and support children and adolescents struggling with drug use or mental health issues. And collaborative strategic planning, which is strategy number 1, is funding $6,000 to enhance community engagement efforts through meeting incentives, space, rentals, and facilitator costs. And I also had included in there just the MOU for you to have a copy, and I highlighted it as well, that shows which strategies that we are using. So in closing, I understand there is a stigma surrounding opioid use, and I ask that the Board of Commissioners citizens of Castle County keep an open mind. The funds we have received must be utilized to address opioid addiction right here in our community. And unfortunately, we are not exempt from this issue. Opioid use disorder affects many individuals in Castle, and it's something we must confront together. By addressing this issue and providing the necessary support to individuals, we can make a significant impact on the entire county. Successful interventions could lead to reductions in criminal activities such as break-ins, theft, and other crimes associated with the addiction. Ultimately, helping individuals overcome addiction benefits not just those individuals, but our community as a whole. I just want to clarify that tonight's presentation is an opportunity for you to hear about and discuss the different strategies that have been presented by the Opioid Committee. We are not asking for any action to be taken tonight. This session is designed to give the Board of Commissioners an opportunity to listen, ask questions, and gain a better understanding of the proposed strategies. As we are currently in the budget season, this discussion will help inform decisions regarding funding for fiscal year 2026. We look forward to your feedback, and thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Any questions or comments for the Deputy County Manager concerning the opioid?
Chairman,
Yes, sir.
it looks like, Melissa, you are requesting like a little over $159,000 tonight. And combined with what we've already approved, looks like $324,000.
Right.
Tell me again how much money you have collected already at this time.
Year to date, we have $607,844.53.
Okay.
And even after, if all of these are funded for FY 26, that would still leave us with about $284,208.21.
Okay.
And we're going to continue to be receiving because we got a little over 2 million.
Any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Melissa, appreciate you doing the presentation. Couple of questions I had. I saw the part in there about the Narcan. Under this strategy plan, all the fire departments going to have that on all their trucks?
That is an area where I don't know if I need to have like a contact to reach out with the fire departments because I'm getting a little miscommunication, it seems like. It's like some of the fire departments seem to know that they can go through emergency services through Barry Lynch and to receive the Narcan. And if they need more, he says all they have to do is let him know. So I'm not sure if there's like a disconnect there. So I'm going to follow up with him again to be sure that every fire department does know this, because we can definitely fund this through this program.
Right.
And I don't know if it's better where, you know, to get the input, I don't know who's the best way to go about doing it. The fire departments would rather be able to order their own Narcan and be able to keep up with it. But by all means, we want to support them the best way that we can.
Right.
That's just what I have been told, because that was originally in the original one that we had did. But when we were meeting, I was just informed that if any fire department needed it, that they could see him and be provided with additional Narcan.
May not be a bad idea to reach out to the fire association and see through that. The only thing I can see with the Narcan, if the fire departments purchase it, is a shelf life. So if they purchase it, there's a chance that it can sit there on the truck and go bad. Kind of what I had looked at or had thought about was if EMS, say Prospect Hill had a call when they used 2 cans of Narcan, EMS responds, they go to transport. The fire department get 2 cans off of the truck. And when that truck leaves to go to the hospital, if they had another call, they would already have the Narcan there.
Right. I feel like there's just a disconnect
Yeah.
there.
So, I mean, whatever you can do to find and tweak that. The only other question I had was on this syringe program. And I know this is probably, you're not probably not able to answer. Have y'all decided a location for that?
I know that our plan was, if it gets approved, we want to reach out to the areas where we know where the most calls have come out to. I do know, right off the top of my head, that Pelham is definitely one of the ones that, during our meetings, that I've been told that that's where some of our highest calls come through at. So I know we would definitely, and with them being so much further on the outside of that part of the county,
Right.
we definitely have one in that area. And then I know the mobile one, if we do that, we would like to keep more here in town. And the other three, the board is welcome to have, discretion in that, or the board can go back and meet and see where they see kind of like where some of more of our other calls are coming in that may be more of a benefit, or look at it geographically.
Right. Well, I was just looking at it from the aspect of, if we could, wherever we got it at as secure as we could have it, that way nobody could go into that box and try to
Right.
get those needles
Right.
out. So thank you for everything.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? And you, go ahead.
Mr. Chairman, I would just like to thank Melissa and the whole group for getting us to this point. She's put in countless hours and done a lot of detailed work, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
You're not asking for any action tonight, correct?
No, I just need for you all to be deciding what you may want to approve by the time we get ready to present budget.
Okay. All right. No other questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Next item, number 7, allocation of increased healthcare insurance costs. Ms. Pascal.
So you've heard the bad news about our insurance, health insurance premiums increasing 6% next year. A couple of times, we actually had Gallagher come and present to you during a work session. And on the February 17th meeting, the board decided to remain with NCHIP for a couple of reasons. One is they don't give increases of more than 6% per year, which is almost unheard of in the insurance industry. And the second was that it would cost us $200,000 to pay back claims beyond July 1 for claims that are incurred in the current plan, but paid after July 1. So it didn't make financial sense to switch carriers. The final decision really is, and you don't have to vote on it, but we would like direction. We need to hold open enrollment with employees, so we need to be able to share with them what their cost of health insurance is going to be, and we need to get those materials ready. So there are 6 cost share scenarios presented in your agenda packet. If the county absorbs the entire increase, I'm just going to go over 4. If the county absorbs the entire increase, it will cost roughly $143,000. If the county and employees split the increased cost 50-50, it will cost the county $71,760. And if employees pay 2/3 of the increase, it will cost the county $46,800. And then finally, if the employees fund the entire cost, there will be no additional cost to the county. Given our morale issues and our turnover, my recommendation is to absorb as much of this cost as you possibly can. We've just had one employee resign in the last 4 weeks, in an important role. And one of the reasons that she cited was because her new employer, another local government, funded the full cost of health insurance.
Questions?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Renee, if I'm looking at this correctly, looks like the total cost for insurance currently is $2,380,000 or so.
I believe that's correct.
And that the employee is paying approximately $220,000 of that,
I believe that's correct.
which works out to about 9.2%. So is that correct? That's the ratio we're currently working under?
I have not done that math, if you
That's-
say so.
Okay.
And I don't have it in front of me, Renee, but what the basic plan? What's the cost of an employee now before the increase? You got it. You got it.
Employee
Basic
only.
plan.
140 is,
Don't know that this breaks it down the way we need it.
It's 25.
Let's see. I'm not sure I can answer that. I'm sorry.
So,
I don't think it break it down, Madam Manager.
it doesn't break it down, okay. I had a number in mind, but I'm not sure. I believe last year the increase was about, what, $33 per employee if they had to pay it all, and we did 50-50, I think. Am I correct,
Melissa.
Melissa, on last year's increase? So the employee wound up paying $16.50 or, within $1 or so of that.
And I think that was what, at 2%?
4, I think.
Was it 4?
I think it was last year. I think. I don't I don't have that in front of me either. Questions for the county manager on this subject? Do you need some direction tonight for budget?
We do.
I figured you would.
We do.
Okay. Now's the time to discuss, gentlemen.
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
my thoughts on this is this would actually still be a tool if we could absorb this to help the county, all county employees, because this is a retention tool as well. As a recruiting tool that would help us, because I've always said we don't need to be bigger than anyone else around us in any other counties, but we need to stay relevant in the game. So that's my thoughts as far as the county being able to absorb it if there's any way possible.
All right. Anyone else?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
Renee, it looks like it's only 128 people signed up presently. Is that correct?
Back of that chart.
After the buy-up, after the.
Right, the 125. If I could read it, it would help. So it looks like 125 have employee-only coverage
Mm-hmm.
for the buy-up plan, and then for the basic plan, those numbers are the same.
I was surprised. It looks a little low. I thought it would have been more than that. But as an option, I'm not making a recommendation, but as an option, if we were to stick to the same percentage that we've had to date, it'd be approximately 10%. The employee paid and the county paid 90%.
Correct me if I'm wrong, is the county pays the same per employee regardless of what coverage level they choose. We kind of had to go through that year before last. I think we had gotten kind of off track. It's paying we weren't paying the same dollar amount, I don't think, on everybody at one time, but we got that straightened out. We, no employee receives more health insurance premium coverage than the other.
just
Right.
If they, the employee.
Right.
Question. Of the 125 that is showing, we actually have what, 248 employees?
Yes. That's why the number's not making sense to me.
Yes.
And I'm assuming that almost all employees are covered by health insurance. Now, whether they take the buy-up plan or whether they cover family members is those numbers are fairly low.
Because a family plan would be a lot more for a person with a, 2 children and wife or husband. So now you're probably looking at $1,200 or so a month
I think that's in the ballpark, yes.
with a person that's roughly making 35,000. Pretty hard for them to, eat. Just my thoughts.
Any other comments or questions? All right, y'all put a motion on the floor so we can get this taken care of. What you would like to do as far as the county's part.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
I make a motion that the county pays 90%, the employee pays 10. Or the
Right.
increase.
I have a motion that the county pays 90% cost of the health insurance and the employee covers 10%. Do I have a
You mean
second?
of the increase, correct?
Yes, of the
The
increase.
of the increase.
Yes.
Of the 143,000, I guess is
Yeah.
90%, 10% of that. Do I have a second? Motion dies for lack of a second. Do I have another motion concerning?
Mr. Chair, I make the motion that the county absorbs the whole 142,000.
I have a motion from Commissioner Ingram that the county pays the full 143,000 of the increase. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second on that motion from Commissioner Rose. Now, time for discussion.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
kind of like, county manager said, we're having a hard time recruiting. We're having a hard time retaining employees. You get an employee that's been here for 10 years and then they walk out the door and leave. It's, hard to swallow because you've invested a lot in that employee. They're taking 10 years worth of knowledge away from here to somewhere else. And I do understand that the salary is a big thing and we have a hard time competing with those surrounding salaries. And I just feel like anything we could do, whether if it's $15 or $20 a month, anything is better than nothing. That's all I have. Thank you.
Any more discussion?
Was there an increase last year?
There was an increase for the county employees. I believe it was 4%, and it was split 50-50 between the employees and the county.
Any more discussion? Not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of the motion that the county pays the full amount of the increased cost of employee health insurance, let it be known by saying aye. All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
Personnel policy amendment, Ms. Pastor.
I think economic development next steps.
Sorry, I'm
That's
sorry.
all right.
Go ahead, Jason.
It doesn't matter. We can do them in either order. And Jason's here to help me. So at the board's budget and planning session, you set economic development as a major goal for the county, specifically citing the need to construct shell buildings. In the meantime, or since that time, I've reached out to 4 big players in the economic development arena in the state. Economic Development Partnership of North Carolina, NC Department of Commerce, Piedmont Electric Cooperative, and Golden Leaf Foundation. And all 4 entities agreed that the next best step for us would be doing due diligence on either the Pelham site or the Yanceyville site. We own both. And due diligence has not been done on either site. So due diligence is a precursor to site development, which is, grading, that kind of thing. And that is a precursor to constructing shell buildings. So it's kind of doing this step by step and doing the first step first. Golden Leaf has grant opportunities for both due diligence and site development. They'll fund up to $50,000 for due diligence and up to $1,500,000 for site development. And that's not construction of shell buildings. That's getting the site ready to build on. They do not have any grant funding opportunities for shell buildings, but the state, I think it was in the last budget, the state of North Carolina did do a pilot program for constructing shell buildings, and it's possible that the state could continue that source of funding in the future. And if we get our sites ready by doing due diligence and site development, we'll be in a better position to take advantage of those funds. Because of the recent activity at Pelham, including the seed project and the announcement of Cherokee Tobacco, as well as its highway access to US 29, we think that Pelham may be the better site to begin with. Also, a large part of the Yanceyville site is part of the same tract as the senior center. So really the first step there is subdividing the senior center from that other tract. David Ross, who is an engineer for Dewberry and who's worked both on Cherokee Tobacco and Seed, has advised that we won't be funded for both sites. And Golden Leaf will give us up to a maximum of $50,000 for due diligence. So if we put both sites in, we're just going to water down the funding that we get for each site. David has provided a cost estimate for what due diligence would be, and the estimate is $71,850. So if we got the max $50,000 from Golden Leaf, then we would still need to fund $21,850 in the upcoming budget. Mr. Ross also connected us with a grants writer, Joyce French, who has experience writing grants for Golden Leaf. And she has agreed to write the grant for $5,000. And you can see her attached proposal in your packet. The current economic development budget has sufficient funds to cover that cost. So we could go ahead and engage her tomorrow if the board decides that that's what they want to do. And then finally, since the Yanceyville property is combined with the senior center, we could go ahead with a boundary survey to subdivide that property. And David has given a quote of $12,000 for that. However, I will point out that if we decided next year to apply for due diligence from Golden Leaf would fund that boundary survey. That is part of the due diligence. So the recommendation is to move ahead with the grant proposal for $5,000.
Questions, gentlemen?
Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
Renee, this, do you know the date of the drop dead date on submitting that application?
It is a rotating
Okay.
deadline, so there is no like yearly date.
But you get a pretty good feel that we'll be a pretty good candidate to get that.
I think so, yes. I had a really good discussion with Golden Leaf.
Okay, worst case, if we do not get it, then we've invested $5,000. Is that correct?
That's correct. And then we would have a prototype for writing
Right,
the next grant.
right. Okay. I'll remind the board that back last summer, we took in just over $26,000 of proceeds for timber sales on that site. So the board may consider applying that towards you, the difference as justification.
It covers the 21,000 and the 5,000,
Right,
just
correct.
about exactly.
But you have the money in the economic development budget to cover the five.
We do.
Okay.
We actually have money to cover the $12,000 boundary survey as well.
But if we spend that now and next year, it's
Right, we won't get that money back.
true. Any other questions, comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
I'll just make one final comment. This is a big step in the county in working towards the shield building program, because Golden Leaf has kind of taken us under their wing and they want to help us. And they informed us of this grant last year sometime. But we were successful. We get $50,000 to do due diligence and up to $1.5 million to do a site. We can get the the site prepared for building, get it level to where it make it much easier to get a private builder to come in and do a private-public relationship type partnership. And I think it'd be a pretty good chance we could find somebody.
Yeah, just go ahead, Mr. Stock.
So we have the funds to make this happen, is that correct?
We have the funds for the grant application, yes.
So, and I think you said we'll have a prototype to continue.
We'll have a prototype, so if we don't get this round of funding, we'll be out the $5,000, but we will have a professionally written grant that we can reapply with.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? You need action on this tonight, I'm guessing, don't you, Madam Manager?
I think I just need a consensus. I can move ahead with the grant proposal if that's the board's desire, and then we'll put the additional cost of the due diligence in the 26 budget.
Everybody good with it? Done?
Yes.
All right, you have a consensus of the board. Move forward.
Thank you.
Now, personnel policy amendment. I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
No worries. At the February 17th meeting, Chairman Yarborough asked that an amendment to the personnel policy be placed on the agenda. The purpose of the amendment is to make it clear that employees who are volunteer firefighters may leave their jobs to respond to fires as long as they clock out from their county job. The amendment, as presented on February 17th, would be Caswell County local government supports local volunteer fire departments in the county as the backbone of public safety. Therefore, any county employee who is a member of a volunteer fire department in Caswell County shall be allowed to respond to calls for service during their work hours. The only requirement is that they will not be on the clock and will notify their supervisor as soon as possible and no later than by the end of the day. And Chairman Yarborough asked the rest of the board to think about the proposal.
Thank you. I did, you said that was in February. I can, okay. I knew it was a couple of months back, but I wasn't sure when. We have a pretty much all volunteer fire service here in the county. And as all of you know, gentlemen, during the day, those personnel can be extremely stretched thin on fire calls. And personally, I don't have a problem with an employee leaving their job as long as they're off the clock and they notify their supervisor. That's the only two requirements. But, you know, these folks don't get paid for their volunteer firework. It's like the term says, it's volunteer. I think anything we can do to help these guys out and girls is a step in the right direction. And that's my 2 cents worth. Floor is open for comments and questions.
I'd like to make one comment. I think that's a no-brainer. When you do, considering what the chairman has spoken. We all benefit from fire department. You never know when something's gonna happen. I think that's a no-brainer.
Any other comments, questions?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I guess I'm somewhat biased, you may want to say. I've been doing it 34 years. 20 years of it, you can retire. Unfortunately, we don't have any young people coming up to do this job. And I think if we've got firemen dedicated to go put out fires, even though it's during the day, if they're off the clock, they're not getting paid, but they're also still serving the citizens of the county. I do not have an issue with it, Mr. Chairman.
No, I'm good with the decision.
All right, do I have a motion we approve amendment to the personnel policy?
Make a motion.
Motion from Commissioner Smith,
Second.
second from Commissioner Rose. Any more discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right, item number 10, approval of fee and sponsorships for new Meals on Wheels clients. Ms. Bascom?
Currently, the block grant funding that we receive for our Meals on Wheels doesn't allow the Castle Senior Center to serve all eligible clients. There are now 45 people on the waiting list. The senior center has been informed that funding for next year will be flat or might even be reduced. And that will also prevent new clients from being added in the new budget year. And so I think this is a fairly innovative strategy from our senior services director. She would like to implement a private pay service for Meals on Wheels. By adding the private pay service, the senior center will be able to provide meals for those who can afford to pay while they wait to be served by the block grant. The block grant does not consider income, it considers age. In addition to being able to feed more clients, those funds could be, so we're going to charge, the proposal is to charge a slightly higher fee than the meal cost. And that way we could accumulate those funds and possibly add additional clients who can't afford to pay. And then the last piece of it is that churches across the county have often contacted the senior center wanting to do something to support the senior center. And they would like to establish a sponsorship program whereby churches could sponsor meals for one senior per year or as many seniors as they would like. But the idea is they would sponsor them for the year. And then the cost of the sponsorship would be the cost the county currently pays for the meals. So the board needs to set any fees that are approved by the county. So the senior center is requesting to charge $6.50 per meal for clients paying privately for meals. The county currently pays $5.21 per meal. The senior center is also requesting to charge sponsors $5.21 per meal. And then we, of course, would account for those revenues separately. Be glad to answer any questions.
Questions, comments?
Madam Manager, you said that, Janine came up with this?
She did.
Yep, okay. Well, what I can say as far as, the senior center and the Meals on Wheels program, I have utilized it twice for, elderly grandparent, and an elderly mother. Both, one would qualify, one would not. But what I did, I just made donations to them. A lot of people don't understand it's more than a meal. Somebody comes in and checks on them. And if they do not get them to the door, they will make a phone call. I've had it happen numerous times. It is great service that they do provide. Nothing further, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
do you know how many people are currently receiving meals?
I don't.
Okay.
Sorry.
Do they receive meals daily? Is it like 5
Yeah,
days?
5 days a week.
And I know they've had issues with volunteers to deliver these meals in recent years. If have people start signing up that are going to pay for them privately as well as those that qualify, does Ms. Everidge think she'll have people that can actually do the delivering?
I did not ask that question specifically. I'll be glad to talk to her about that and bring this back to you at the
Oh,
April.
I think it's a fine idea if somebody wants to pay and get that one meal a day, but I just don't want to overload volunteers and,
If you remember, they did get the part-time driver,
yeah.
because it was actually one of my drivers.
Okay.
So,
Is it just one?
yeah, they did get the part-time driver, and I know that has helped them out
Okay.
well, but as far as like, I don't know if they would have enough to do everything, but I do know that helped them when,
Okay.
last year when that got approved.
If you would just check with her and make sure that it's not going to overload I know she doesn't know if it will or not, but get her take on it.
Okay, I'll be glad to
You
do
don't
that.
mind.
And this is really scheduled to, well, we wanted to go ahead and implement it tonight, but I don't think it is going to hurt to wait.
Yeah, okay, all right. Yeah, let's wait till the next meeting, to get the information back. Now, Madam Manager, do the item that you brought to our attention right before the meeting, you want to go ahead and tackle that one now?
Well, I've got several things that I need to bring your attention to. So for the new commissioners, the photographer will be here to take your headshots at the next meeting at 6 p.m. So be here 30 minutes early so that you can have your picture taken. I sent this out in weekly update a couple of weeks ago, but please note that commissioners that haven't taken the online class through the local government commission must do so by April 15th. And there is a quiz. I will send that out again tomorrow so you have the link to the training. And then the last thing is not good news. And of course, here it is. So I got an frantic call from our interim finance officer last week. We received a invoice from the IRS that we owe $103 and $103,680. And that penalties will start to incur if we do not pay this by, I believe it's April 14th. And I apologize for the late notice, but we literally got the invoice last week. This invoice dates from actions taken in 2018. So
That's 103,000.
103,680. Yes. I'm sorry. What did I say? $103.
Yeah,
I wish it were.
so do I. So
Yeah. So you're going to have to suspend your rules in order to approve this, but we need to get this invoice paid before April 14th. It'll have to come from fund balance. So make the motion to appropriate fund balance to pay the invoice of 103,680. But first you've got to suspend your rule to approve items of more than $10,000.
can you go into a little more detail if you have it? And I know IRS is a pain, but what they claim?
It's either, I think it's a 1099 issue where,
Remember, there was an issue, I vaguely do remember that. There was an issue. I think we were in between.
Is this a penalty or? Because the county doesn't pay federal tax, does it? Oh,
it is a penalty assessment. That's what it is.
okay. $30,000. Wow.
One, Mr. Chairman,
Hmm.
Madam Manager, is this the first we have been notified from IRS concerning it?
It is not. It is the first that Melissa Miller and I have been notified.
Well,
She
I can say
went,
the, I
she
can
went
say-
back into the previous finance director's email and found correspondence with the IRS related to this.
well, I can say this, the first that I have heard of it, and I'm pretty sure this is the first the rest of this board has heard about it. And just for everybody to understand, this is 2018. 2018. Oh. I wish I knew more about what it's laid out there for. I mean, I do understand you're on a timeline due to penalties.
Mr. Chairman. Yes, sir.
I may be wrong, but I'm thinking that this penalty probably is a result of not sending that 1099s
I believe it's the 1099 issue, yeah,
and not sending them out. So we
on time.
Any more questions for the manager?
How, just one last question. Is this just for 2018 or did it go back further?
My understanding is it's 2018. It's that tax year.
19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25 are good.
As far as I know.
Nothing further.
I know that we're fine on 25 because we submitted all our paperwork on time.
We don't know that we won't be getting. Or are we sure that? We don't know.
I'm not sure that we won't.
I think it'd be a good idea to find out
I don't know.
and maybe get in front of it and contact them instead of them sending us a letter. It may help as far as negotiating interest and fees and penalties, if there are any.
Absolutely.
So what's the pleasure of the board?
I don't think we got any choice.
Do I have a motion to suspend the rules and make the payment to the Internal Revenue Service?
I make the motion.
A motion from Commissioner Smith. I have a
Second.
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 Second from Commissioner Ingram. Any discussion?
Other than, I do agree with Commissioner Smith. I would like to find out from them if this is if this is an isolated incident, or are we looking at anything 19, 20, 21? I would like to know that because I don't like getting hit with this. I hope we don't get hit with this again. And I do understand it's not your fault. It's something that you caught. It's just, thank you.
I'm not a CPA, but none of this would have shown up during an audit.
I don't think so. I'm trying to think. Yeah, it wouldn't have showed up in a financial audit.
Okay, because all you're looking at there is the numbers have got to be right, not the dates.
Right.
Okay. All right.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, sir.
Is there a chance we can negotiate with the IRS on this amount?
We will try.
Any more discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor of suspending the rules and paying the Internal Revenue Service $103,680. Let it be known by raising your right hand. All those opposed, like sign. No one. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Madam Manager. The last action item I think we have for tonight before we go into county manager updates, commissioner comments, county attorney updates. Item 11, approval of an outside foreigner school to represent the county in a possible pending legal matter. Do I have any questions? Do I have a motion to proceed with this retention of foreigner approval?
I make a motion.
I have a motion from Commissioner Smith. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ingram. Any discussion? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. Motion carries. All right. Any more updates, Madam Manager?
That's all I have.
Okay, Mr. Attorney.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board. In the case of Public Service Company of North Carolina and Enbridge Gas North Carolina versus Caswell County, This case has come to a close. A voluntary dismissal will be filed this week at the Caswell County Courthouse. If you recall, this was a matter in which Caswell County was only named as a party because the individuals, the property owners here in Caswell County own delinquent taxes. Those delinquent taxes have now been paid, so the issue is moot and Caswell County will be removed as a party. And the next action is Caswell County versus Amy Lynn Morrell. This is file number 24 CBD 379 in the Caswell County District Court Division. This is a delinquent tax foreclosure. And the last upset bid for this tax foreclosure was in the amount of $12,730.02. And the last day for the next upset bid is April 17th, 2025. And the amount of the new upset bid is $15,000. And I'll have more updates for you in the closed session. Thank you.
All right, commissioner comments, Mr. McVeigh, Mr. Ingram, Mr. Rose,
No, Mr. Chairman.
Smith.
Yes, I would like to thank the NCACC for all they do for Caswell County. Whether it be helped us with the financial audits, getting those caught up, or searching for a county manager, we do appreciate it.
I'm sorry.
No.
Ms. Totten? All right. Upcoming events, April the 21st, regular commissioners meeting here at the courthouse. May the 5th, work session for the commissioners here at the courthouse. Session to consult with an attorney employed or retained by the public body in order to preserve the attorney-client privilege between the attorney and the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged. North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A3 to consider the qualifications, competence, performance, character, fitness, conditions of appointment, or conditions of initial employment of an individual public officer or employee or prospective public officer or employee, or to hear or investigate a complaint, charge, or grievance by or against an individual public officer or allowed under General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A6, and to discuss matters relating to the location or expansion of industries or other businesses in the area served by the public body, which privilege is hereby acknowledged in North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11 subsection A4. Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Mr. Chairman, I put a corrected copy of the agenda at your place, and can
Okay.
you add the phrase to the motion you just read? And to consider and give instructions to an attorney concerning the handling of a claim.
So noted and will be added. I have a motion to go into closed session.
So move.
I have a motion from Commissioner Rose.
Second.
Second from Commissioner Ingram. All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. We now sit in closed session.